Good morning, folks. Hope we're all well today. There's a fair bit of crap in the news today, and I've got a fair bit to say about it. But there's nothing unusual there. So let's have a wee look and see who's in, and then we'll get on with this. Morning, John Baxter, Gary, Gingers. How are you, Gingers? Stephen, Leipzig. It wasn't me. Good morning, Reagan Elite, who's part of a whole list to save me time. Morning, Melanie. Good morning, Alistair Kerr. Good morning, Stephen Bankier. Good morning, Barbara Lansborough. Good morning, Stephen Nichol, Jeanette O'Fillon, Ginger Giraffes, Graham Beanie, June Dalrymple, and Martin Williamson and Peter M. Well, that helps. Hi, Gary. Let's see, Leipzig's in. Hi, Mark. It looks like you more or less covered it, Reagan Elite. More or less covered it, big man. Good morning, Ellie. Right, numbers are climbing nicely, so let's get this underway, shall we? Cindy Truck Davy at the truck, not home and off, in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is currently 8 degrees, overcast, no rain in the forecast. Today's high will be 12 degrees here, and humidity is at 93%. Wind, not much to talk about. 5 to 14 kilometres an hour. What's that? About 3 8 mile an hour. And the pollen count is low. All right. So that's where we are. That's what we're at. That's what the weather's like here in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to see what the weather's like where you are, look at your own bloody windy. Now, first up this morning, folks, I'm afraid it's quite serious. So we'll stick it up, shall we? First up this morning should be the Herald. If I can find it. Here we go, the Herald. First up this morning, the Herald. And what's the Herald got for us this morning? Well, the Herald tells us complaint upheld on library's gender critical book ban. And this is the story that the National Library of Scotland has banned a book which is gender critical. Now, this is serious, folks. Really, really serious. I'm afraid the end of humanity is nigh. Because when the people who invented the modern world starts to censor human thought, then the species is on its way out of fucking existence. But the madness has arrived. I don't know what else to say about that. The National Library banning gender critical books. Or book in this case. Why is the National Library banning any book? Who wants to limit human imagination, human thought, human ingenuity? The end of the species is nigh, folks. When the very people who pioneered human enlightenment start to censor themselves, then the enlightenment is over. So very serious headline, that one, folks. And it had to be dealt seriously with. Because the idea that the National Library is starting to censor thought and information that can be put into people's hands to be used as necessary, even just as a learning experience, is fucking madness. Just madness. Right, next up is the Daily Rancid, and it's on the Michelle Mone story, PPE cash. A vow after not a penny repaid. We are coming for the 145 million UK government promises to recoup money. One down, many to go. Because if it's only Mone they're chasing, out of the billions that were stolen, and let's start looking at the 37 billion with Dido Harding, shall we? But if it's only Mone they're going after, then it's scapegoating. It's window dressing for the public. 122 million that Mone's company embezzled is not a fucking patch on some of the contracts. So if it's only Michelle Mone they're chasing, then there's a problem. Because we know how much dodgy PPE contracts were out there. We know all about the VIP fast lane. It was also deemed illegal. Who's going to fucking jail for that? Why is we Govey up in Aberdeen sticking coke up his fucking nose instead of doing time in the bar L? We have questions and answers, folks. Stephen Kelly, you reckon it's about 67 billion. I think you're on the light side there, but never mind. It's as good a figure as any. Right, next up we've got the Scotsman. What's that got for us this morning? The Scotsman's got business plea to Reeves over tax hike fears. Well, she's got a choice, Rachel Reeves. She can go after the wealth that's sloshing around, or she can hit the worker class and commerce. And you can bet your ass it's working class and commerce that's getting it. And this failing economy, with failing public finances, they don't have the cojones to go after those who have the wealth of nations, the Amazons of this world, the Starbucks of this world, the big multinationals that trade within these shores. And then, of course, there's the landed gentry to go after as well. Well, there's class actions put up a list of books that have been banned, apparently. As I say, folks, when it gets to the point where the censorship creeps in, it stifles creativity and it limits the imagination. It's not acceptable. That's just not acceptable. Right, as I say, business please. Nah, I'm sorry, Reeves. I don't see you going after the actual people who don't pay fucking tax. Rachel's choice. One and Rachel's choice, Peter. One lump or two. Brilliant. Right, next is the Scum. And the Scum's on a crime story, a rather nasty crime story. Brooke repeatedly stabbed and then drowned his lover in a hot tub in a remote Shetland homestead. Now, it does sound horrific. Aaron Pearson, a Canadian living in a remote Scottish, a remote Shetland homestead, has been jailed for 25 years plus for stabbing his younger girlfriend 23 times in the hot tub and drowning her. Wow. That is brutal. That is brutal. Right, next up we get a Daily Feel. What's it got for us today? Chinese stole secrets from number 10 for years. Newly exposed outrage by communist regime heaps fresh pressure on Starmer over collapsed spy case. And this is the news that 5 years ago, the Chinese managed to hack Westminster's agent systems and steal state secrets. And it's been going on ever since. Apparently they've got the backdoor key now. But the question is, folks, what are these state secrets they're stealing? You know, and the other thing is, newly exposed outrage by communist regime. China's not been communist for a long time. It's a controlled market economy. And it's led by, it is a single party state, but I don't think we can call them communist anymore. It's the same as we can't really call Russia communist anymore either. North Korea, I think that still ticks the box. But China and Russia, not so much. Right. Let's take that down. But what is it indicative of? The fact that states like China, Russia, America, they've all got the backdoor keys to our state. Well, it tells you the state has failed. That's what it tells you. It's not just a failing state. The state has already fucking failed. Next up, we have the Looney Rag Express. And it's on the murder story of the young lady who was murdered in the Shetland Isles. The murder of Claire, an act of feral butchery. And that's pictures of the young lady and the man who perpetrated the crime. Particularly brutal crime. And he deserves to languish in jail. Languish, sorry. Right, next up, we've got the Times. And the Times back on the failed state. Whitehall data breach gave secrets to Chinese. Thing about technology is if you don't keep up with it, it's easy to access your data. And Westminster hasn't invested. Just hasn't invested. And what it has had done, it was done on the cheap. So easily accessible. It's not just the Chinese. It's everybody. It's a failed state. It's a feckless state. It's directionless. It's immoral. As we've seen with its complicity in the genocide in Gaza. It's over. That is a failed state. And it will continue to be a failed state. And the constituent parts of that failed state will continue to drift apart. As those of us out with the central government, including the people of England, look on in fucking horror at what has become of the failed state that England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales finds itself locked in. So see, even the people in England look at it with disgust and horror. They are closer to it than us. They don't just feel the corruption, they can fucking smell it. No. But we all have to recognise that Westminster is a failed state. And as I say, I think we all do now recognise that the system as is corrupt and broken. I think that's quite clear to us all by now. Question is, what's going to be done about it? That's why we have something called the constitutional wrangle that's going on. Because if it had never been a corrupt state, if it had been a fair-minded state, if it had been a part where the constituent parts play equal, rather than one part draining the constituent parts, then there would have been no complaint. But power corrupts. Right, what's next? Oh, we're on the same thing. And here comes where the leak comes from. On the China carry on. Cummings, China stole secrets in major hack. Under Bojo's watch. He was giving the backdoor keys to the fucking Russians for all the contributions to the Conservative Party and to his own private pocket. It would appear the Russians gave the backdoor key to the fucking Chinese. So there you have it. Bojo sells backdoor key. China gets it from Russia and bang. As I say, what are these secrets they stole? That's what's interesting. I'll tell you what it is. It's all the files on the corruption being perpetrated on the state by government. I speak about the biggest fucking heist that's ever happened in UK history and people still don't understand it. It's called the tax credit system. It's where the responsibility of the employer to pay a decent wage was transferred from that employer to the taxpayer. And that was when we started to see the rich become the elite, because the transfer of wealth was accelerated. It meant the gaffers got to keep the profit in their pockets and their bank accounts. That's the sort of thing that the Chinese would have been looking at. Because there's no state secrets for nothing. They're the things the state don't want us to fucking know. It's not what they don't want others to know, it's what they don't want us to know. Like Tony Blair's bank heist. But as I say, failed state. And failed states lead to oppressive government as they lose more and more control. Right, what's next? That was a Telegraph. Next up we've got the National. What's the National go for us this morning? Well, the National has work shy, demand for full disclosure on how little royals do. They don't have a fucking job. How little they do. Their main job's to take money out of the Treasury, to live the life of Riley. Whatever that is. And the main headline, bound, beaten, kicked and starved. And these are those who've been, what it says is released Palestinian prisoners tell their stories. But the truth behind it is they weren't Palestinian prisoners, they were hostages of the Israeli regime. It always interests me how when we're referring to Palestinians, they're prisoners, they're detainees. They're never referred to as hostages, even though they are hostages. And they're still holding about 8,000 hostages in Israeli prisons. Saying that right enough, if you take in the whole population of Palestine, they're in one big fucking open air concentration camp. The West Bank and Gaza. Two big fucking concentration camps. Shocking stuff. Right. Let's take in the National. I think after the National we'll get the eye. Is it the eye? Yeah, what's the eye got for us? Leaked memo reveals Labour's plan to slash affordable homes targets. Rayner gone. Social housing plan gone. There you go, folks. Labour U-turn again. Anybody surprised? Anybody surprised at this fucking headline? That another manifesto commitment will not happen? Where they will introduce things that won their manifesto commitments and are controlling. Like the brick card, which they can stick right up their fucking arses. Thank you, Alistair. Thank you very much. Very generous. So, Labour break another promise, another pledge. I don't think anybody here, hi, one angry pagan, I don't think anybody here, especially that young fella, will be surprised at that. Not one of us will be surprised at that. But it isn't a surprise, is it? Labour break promise. Starmer and his pledges, his targets, his aims, his missions. For fuck's sake, just forget it. Just forget it. Right, next we've got the Metro, I think. Should be the Metro. And what's it go? Jailed 27 years by her parents. And this is the story of a young lady who apparently was kept locked in a flat by her parents for 27 years. Well, she couldn't have been very strong-minded for that to happen. Unless they physically chained her to something. So, bit of a story, that one. I don't have much to say about it, honestly. The notion that its parents would lock a youngster up for that amount of time, it just goes beyond comprehension. For me, anyway. But I'm very privileged with quite a normal family. Well, as normal as I know it. Right. The Guardian. Budget will raise taxes on wealthy to fix public finances, says Rachel. Says Rachel Reeves. Good morning, Sir Larry the Cat. Nip next door and tell Rachel for accounts to stop talking pish. We know she's not going to tax the wealthy. Guardian, get a grip. Still, this budget should be interesting. Because between the budget and the local elections next year, could be the end of this regime. Hi, Andy, you're right. But, as I say, budget will raise tax on wealthy. I doubt it. And if it does, it won't be much. Hey, Lenny, how are you? Thanks very much. Video game controller evolves into muscle version of itself under the words LVL. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but I've read it. So, the Guardian tells us that Rachel's going to tax the rich. I heard that. £1 for every time we've heard the term, those with the broadest shoulders will carry the burden. Hey, with £1 for every time we heard that, I'd be a fucking rich man. But to be fair, I'm not interested in being a rich man. Apparently it corrupts people to the point where they lose their humanity. They don't want to pay into the system and they just want to gather more and more to themselves. I think I would skip that. But it's no me, it's no my thing. As you can see, shut the book here because I don't need any serious thought on what's coming up next, because what's coming up next is a star. And I'm afraid it's leaving us all with a cliffhanger this morning, folks. As if we all care. So what's the star got for us this morning? Well, it's a cracker. And it has price breaks silence. Why is people still paying attention to this person? Is there a reason why this person's still in the press? Anyway, Kate names TV star rapist. Audience left stunned at famous reveal. Well, guess what, folks? If you want to know who the TV rapist is, you need to buy the Star and go to page 7, because it doesn't tell us on the front page, and I couldn't be arsed looking it up. I really couldn't. It's no my type of story. Gethens is on about China, is he? Yeah. Somebody wants to tell Gethens it happened under their fucking watch. Aye, you're right, Stephen. Katie, who? Aye, well. See, the interesting one for me today is, we're starting to find out that the National Library's banning literature. Stupidity has arrived, and when it arrives in the place when the Enlightenment happened, that's when humankind comes to an end. Yeah. But arrogant to say that, is it no? The place that gave the world the Enlightenment's shutting down in darkness. The lights are out. Yeah, arrogant wee shite, innit? Right, folks. You guys have a lovely day. We'll be back this afternoon, David and I, to discuss other issues that are going on. And then, of course, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 10:30 today. The headlines again. And Christ almighty, they don't have make me laugh some mornings, so they do. And that one this morning in the Herald, that just made me laugh. It did. Lights are out, guys. Bye.